Yeah, family, we back. It's the Hebrew life again, shock-based Jerusalem, and I'm back with another lesson. We're gonna call this one "Pedophiles in Hollywood." Pedophiles in Hollywood on the children exposed. We got Nickelodeon, we got Disney, and we got etc. We got Hollywood, the music industry. Let's go, family.
I know you heard what goes up comes down, but with the most high you never roll the clouds, 'cause we fly forever, we fly forever, we fly forever, we fly forever. I know you heard what goes up comes down, but with the most high you never roll the clouds, 'cause we fly forever, we fly forever, we fly forever.
Yeah, family. It's your favorite base Jerusalem. I'm back, man. We did a special on the rituals in Hollywood, and now we're gonna do and show what goes on in Hollywood and for the children. And the Bible said, whoever touched the children, they might as well tie a millstone around their neck and dive in the sea. That's how he feel about his children. And I also have to put out, man, we have to blame the parents who sacrifice their children to these industries that they know is not the best for their children, but they're looking for the money and the fame, and they're willing to put their children through the fire, and it damages the children. Mental health is big to me, but I'm a spiritual man, so I understand everything starts in the spiritual. So if somebody has mental health issues, a bipolar issue, or whatever, they are suffering from demonic control over their life and over what they're into. And they have to remove themselves mentally, spiritually, and physically to overcome these things.
Dan Schneider!
Thank you to Nickelodeon. Thank you to Dan Schneider. Dan, we love you. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you, Nickelodeon. Thank you, Dan Schneider.
It's hard to put into words what Dan has done for all of us.
I want to thank Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider.
He's the guy behind some of the greatest shows on Nickelodeon. His name is Dan Schneider.
If you watch Dan Schneider's work, it is completely impossible to escape the notion of feet.
Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out.
There's just feet everywhere.
Tori, please pour ketchup all over your feet.
I still say this is not performing.
This is why I'm in Hollywood.
Yeah. Eat your cereal, kids.
Hey, Dan Schneider, look what you've done to me.
Dan Schneider. Boom! He is responsible for the prolific careers of a bunch of people, bunch of shows that we all have come to know and love, from millennials all the way to Gen Z and everybody above, below, and in between. If you are alive right now, you probably are familiar with something that Dan Schneider has created. He's responsible for the careers of Amanda Bynes, Josh Peck, Jamie Lynn Spears, Miranda Cosgrove, Jeanette McCurdy, and even Ariana Grande. Many more, but that's just to name a few. There were some seriously frightening and worrisome things going on at Nickelodeon Studios during that heyday with his company Schneider's Bakery. It seems as though Nickelodeon and everyone involved seem to try to sweep under the rug a lot of strange and worrisome behaviors that we're going to get into today.
Your mission: play rock, paper, scissors.
Don't scream, all right? What?
Now, Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider have been exposed a million times over by many people on YouTube.
I have a new video for you guys because it's time to talk about this monster, Dan Schneider.
Could they have prevented this? And if so, why didn't they?
If you don't understand why the giant foot plays such a big part in this, you will in a minute.
Hidden behind that orange foot is some disgusting, deplorable things.
You have a foot fetish, no judgment here, that's all you. But it's different when you put that foot fetish in a children's TV show. Now that's when it becomes a problem.
All his colleagues around him seem to be held accountable, but he doesn't seem to be held accountable.
And there was another actress called Alexa Nicholas. She went on Instagram Live.
And my mom was like, can you please get Dan? Get Dan here immediately, get the producers here immediately. Someone needs to figure out what just happened to my daughter. So then finally Dan walks in. And Dan has not helped the entire time. And I don't feel comfortable going into details about what I've seen with Dan or like what Dan is.
My mom put me in acting, like it wasn't my choice. I was 6, I had to support my family. So it wasn't like I was, came out of the womb like I'm tap dancing and like ready to go or something. It's the thing that I feel the most shame of in my entire life. I do not like any of the acting work that I have ever, like any of the projects that I've been a part of as an actor. And even talking about it, honestly, my heart starts to race and like I feel like I almost.
Yeah, fam. So as y'all see, apparently, Mr. Dan Schneider has a feet fetish, and he implemented it throughout his shows so he can feed his demons and his fetishes. And it's real weird, There's people out here who pay for feet, pictures of feet. So people have all kind of weird fetishes, and you gotta watch who you put your children around. Me personally, it was a shocker to me. As a kid, I grew up watching Nickelodeon. I didn't watch anything but really Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. And I didn't know this was going on behind the scenes the whole time. And it was right there in our face the whole time. And it always shows in the fruit of the product. When you see these people and they're acting weird when they get grown-ups and they have all these mental issues and drug problems, it's because of what goes on in this industry. This was completely unprofessional, having these kids pouring ketchup on their feet and touching their feet. It was just weird from the jump.
Started off as a child star for Nickelodeon, but there was a big issue where she was sexualized by the network. And this happened when she was a teenager doing vlogs to promote the show Victorious, which seems pretty simple, but she was asked to do things like put her finger in her mouth and try to reach as far back as she could, hold onto a potato with both hands making moaning noises, pour water on herself upside down in her bed, and she was asked to suck on her toes not just once, not just twice, but many different times in many different positions on her bed. Of course, the person who told her to do that was none other than disgraced Nickelodeon producer Dan Schneider. And Dan Schneider was just called out in a book by Ariana Grande's former co-star Jeanette McCurdy. Jeanette years ago had a meltdown video saying, "Dan Schneider, you ruined me." And then she said that Dan Schneider gave her alcohol when she was just 14 years old and treated her and other child actors horribly. And this kind of stuff went as far back as into the 1990s, like this image here of Dan Schneider with Amanda Bynes in a hot tub. For Ariana Grande, she is one of the only Nick stars to not come out against Dan Schneider, which is likely her not wanting scandals related to her career. But there's definitely a problem here, and with that, I'm Charles Peral. Follow if you learned something.
These videos make me so nervous.
No. Why?
Say your name and game something. This better not be on the tube when I get home.
I would not put this on the tube.
This on the tube? Why? Would it lose my mind?
You know what's going to happen when I put this on YouTube. What?
What happens if
you know.
Yeah, family, we back. Yeah, I feel you on that, Leonard. Do your hooter, man. But we all know who run the industry. it was, I watched this film extensively a while back, and I watched his interactions with the children, how he was just creepy. He was weird. We got several witnesses of his creepiness, the stars he worked next to, and I don't believe Hollywood is for children. It's hard enough for the men and women to deal with it as adults, and then you put these kids through the cycle, and they go through worse stuff than the adults because they're children and they're harmless and they're innocent, and they really can't take much action against the wrongdoing that goes on. Um, it's just a sad thing, all these he had her playing with the potato, all these sexual acts. A grown up would know it's a sexual act, but a kid wouldn't know. When I said a grown up would know. These are borderline sexual acts that people pay for on OnlyFans that he was getting for free for years. This dude was in Good Burger and all of the good movies and wrote all that. All these, you know, it seems like all the stars we look up to and see in the movies and all these kids we see in shows, we see there's dark presences behind these shows and behind these movies and these actors in Hollywood.
Things he was doing, saying, posting, and promoting during his time at Nickelodeon was so wrong. Today we're going to take a look at every creepy sign about Dan Schneider that we failed to notice. Feet fetish. One of the first things that created a scandal around Dan Schneider and his time as a creator on Nickelodeon was his obvious obsession with feet. From being the subject of numerous jokes to being featured in every other scene, you can't watch any Dan Schneider show without seeing or hearing a reference to feet, at least a couple of times. Although it didn't seem creepy when most of the people watched these shows while growing up, looking back at those scenes through an adult's perspective makes it really clear that the trend of feet appearance, jokes, and even that time Ariana Grande's character tried sucking her own toe were all expressions of a possible feet fetish by Dan Schneider, which he found a way to include in the shows because he was the creator and writer for most of them. Reacting to the unveiling threads and videos on Dan Schneider's feet fetish, one Twitter user wrote, "Look, Nickelodeon has a problem with employing sickos. They've known about the creator, Dan Schneider, for years. I mean, imagine being another adult in the room when he's asking Ariana Grande to suck on her toes." But beyond what was shown on footage from the shows, which includes scenes that a Twitter user has highlighted in a thread, there is so much more proof that points to Dan Schneider's alleged feet fetish. To start with, one of the logos that plays after credits on Dan's shows is literally the outline of a foot. Coincidence? I think not. On social media, Dan Schneider can be found making multiple jokes about feet on his personal media accounts, as well as the accounts he's in control of. When the spin-off show Sam and Cat first aired in 2013, the official Twitter page announced a new episode in a very off-putting way that raised a lot of brows even back then. The page posted, "Sam and Cat tomorrow, right on the bottom of your foot. Take a pic and use hashtag Sam and Cat Saturday. We'll retweet and follow until our fingers get sore." The phrasing of the tweet was entirely wrong, and years after, more evidence of Dan Schneider's obsession with feet were released. People have connected the dots and figured out that Dan had probably given the instruction for the post or written it himself, because feet pictures are the most random thing ever. As one Twitter user puts it, it's clear that Dan Schneider has a foot fetish, and it's also clear that he fulfills his foot fetish by forcing underage girls to do awkward, supposedly funny, feet-related shit on the shows he creates. The guy is the R. Kelly of children.
Yeah, fam, we back. So, as y'all see, man, this was the actual symbol for Nickelodeon when I was a kid. Clearly he had a big foot issue when you tweeting out the kids, yeah, send the picture of your feet, and whoever got the best picture, are you serious? This has nothing to do with cartoons. Nickelodeon. That's why Nickelodeon parted ways with him. And Nickelodeon hasn't recovered yet as a network from this. Disney took over eventually and Cartoon Network got they work in too, but Nickelodeon never recovered from this. It was just a bad thing that when people connected the dots and when victims came out, when they got older and started telling what went on and how people were selected, it became a clear issue on how they were doing things.
Nickelodeon Creep Club is a nickname given to these 5 men who behaved inappropriately with minors while working at Nickelodeon.
So before I play this, I want y'all to know that there's a long list of employees that have been linked to pedophilia behavior. This is they call them the Creep Squad. So y'all check this out.
Nickelodeon Creep Club is a nickname given to these 5 men who behaved inappropriately with minors while working at Nickelodeon. Today we're talking about Marty Weiss. So Marty Weiss was a well-renowned talent scout in Hollywood that worked primarily with children. He had a number of high-profile underage clients, including people that worked on shows like iCarly. So this meant that he was in direct communication with kids a lot. And like I said before, he was very well respected and he had a lot of clients. Well, in 2011, Marty's world came crashing down when a former client of his came to the police and said that he had been assaulted by Marty 30 to 40 times years ago when he was only 15. He then went to Marty's apartment, confronted him with the allegations, and secretly videotaped his reaction. Marty then allegedly told the victim that what was happening was very common in the entertainment industry, and if the victim were to tell anybody, that it would hurt their career and hurt the both of them. Authorities believe that Marty Weiss has a number of victims that will never come forward because they're ashamed of what happened to them. And it's absolutely sickening to look at all of the shows that this guy was involved with. A lot of shows, obviously, that involved mainly children, like Good Luck Charlie, iCarly, The Muppets. It's crazy. But it just goes to show that Nickelodeon really never vetted the people that they hired back in the 2000s. There were so many different instances like this. And it also shows that people like Marty seek out employment at places like Nickelodeon and Disney because they're going to know that they have access to children. Unfortunately, though, he's only number 3 in the Creep Club, so next we're going to talk about Jason M. Handy. This is Justin Smith, the Nickelodeon Predator. You may have seen him before on the show To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. I mean, it's hard to forget this guy with his very unique Nickelodeon colored hair. But he was one of the worst. So at the time that he was caught in the sting, Justin Smith was a 27-year-old freelance post-production editor working for Nickelodeon Studios. And at the time that he was caught in the sting, he thought that he was talking to an underage girl named, ironically, Carly. The full chat logs between Justin and Carly are available online, and they are incredibly disturbing to read. And obviously it shows that this guy was a dangerous predator. Like always happens with these predators online, he engaged this girl in a very normal way at first, and then it slowly descended into these dark, very, very inappropriate discussions, which then led Justin to show up at the Sting house knowing that he had everything to lose. Now, I would count Justin as an unofficial member of the Nickelodeon Creep Club, because there have been a number of people that have worked at and for Nickelodeon that have abused kids and have been suspected of abusing kids over the years. Now, even though he was arrested after the sting, sadly Justin served no jail time. He had to volunteer. He now has to register as a sex offender, but that was it. Now, I don't know if this is the same Justin Smith that was caught on To Catch a Predator, but if you look up Justin Smith on IMDb, you are...
Yeah, family, we back. So, as y'all see, man, it's a long list of creeps that work for these networks. They don't, I'm gonna show y'all, they don't actually check backgrounds when it come to hiring these people. These people have priors and stuff on their record that'll show that they aren't the people that need to be around kids. I actually seen that episode with that dude with the orange hair though, and I was shocked that he worked for Nickelodeon. I'm like, dang. I'm like, these is the people who around the kids, but we was in danger a long time ago, and people just didn't know. It's just now we got cameras and recorders and stuff like that where things could be exposed. Before then, nobody knew.
Member of the Nickelodeon Creep Club, Jason M. Handy, is a creep and a disturbed individual. This is Jason Handy. He was a production assistant on a bunch of different shows with Nickelodeon, like All That, and The Amanda Show, which also involved Dan Schneider, if you know, you know. But Jason was a particularly shocking individual. On April 12, 2003, he was arrested at his home in California and charged with performing a lewd act with a child under the age of 14. Apparently, in the year 2000, Jason had kissed and touched a 9-year-old girl. And after his first arrest, he was arrested again a few days later based on charges from Michigan. Apparently, he had tried to solicit a child under the age of 16 to perform immoral acts with him. And this investigation revealed a lot about Jason. Apparently, he had been hunting for children to abuse in all of the places that he frequented, like his church, the internet, and more disturbingly, and hopefully not, at Nickelodeon Studios where he was employed. But Jason knew who he was. In his private journal that was seized by investigators, he had written down the words, "I'm a pedophile, full blown." When they searched his apartment, they also found over 1,000 photos of minors that he had snapped while peeking his camera at the elementary school that he lived across the street from. He was eventually sentenced to 6 years in prison, and his case basically started the charge for people to get more intense background checks before they work for children's shows. But as we've seen over the years, this hasn't always worked. The fourth member of this former Disney music executive was charged with child sex abuse. This is John Healy himself, who's now in his 60s, and in 2017 he was charged with 3 felony counts of child sex abuse. All of this had happened apparently a decade ago. He was accused of abusing one girl when she was 15 years old and then targeting another 11-year-old girl and abusing her all the way up until she was 15. When he was arrested back in 2017, John's Twitter profile only read one thing: Disney concerts and living to glorify God in all things. Now, when all this happened back in 2017, I read that Disney terminated him immediately from his position. I mean, how could they not? These were some very graphic and disturbing allegations that were made against John. But if you go to his LinkedIn page and you scroll down a bit, it says that he still works at Disney. I don't know what that means, if it's true or not, but it's kind of strange. In fact, I can't even find anything about how this case was ended. Hold up, now this is interesting. So I just stopped and really dug into the research about this guy, and I found that they dropped the charges in 2019 because there was a hung jury. They couldn't reach a decision on whether or not he was actually guilty of these crimes or not. Apparently, according to this news article that I'm reading, the people involved in the case did not want the charges to be dropped, but his defense team argued that since it was the third trial that he was involved in, the case should be thrown out, and the judge complied and just threw all the charges out. So, I don't know, maybe he is still working for Disney. Maybe it does make sense. I don't really know. But it should be noted that allegedly the girls that he abused were from his own family. They were family members of his, and obviously they were minors. I guess we'll just never know the truth on this story. Do you remember the time when former Disney Channel star Kyle Massey was accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a minor? You may remember Kyle from shows like Cory in the House, and obviously That's So Raven. But recently, Kyle gave an interview and spoke publicly for the first time about all this, and his response is shocking. Kyle is now alleging that he is actually a victim himself, and that the mother of the victim is the one that tried to victimize him, if that makes sense. So the original charges stated that Kyle allegedly sent explicit videos to a minor between the years 2018 and 2019. These charges were filed in civil court in the year 2019 and were eventually dropped. The person was seeking $1.5 million from Kyle. But then in February of 2022, the mother contacted another sheriff's department and filed criminal charges. But this is where this gets really strange, because recently Kyle went on record and gave an interview and stated that he was actually the one that was assaulted by this mother who filed the charges on behalf of her daughter. Kyle's lawyer named Eric.
Yeah, fam. So, as y'all see, man, millions and billions of dollars has been spent to keep this a secret. So so the nation won't know what goes on with the children on these TV shows, on these movie sets. It's a horrific thing, you know. Biblically, these people who do these things to these children wouldn't be living after they had been accused and had several witnesses come out. They wouldn't be living. But the system we live in get these people a smack on the hand, and they're released in society and back on these movie sets, as y'all just seen, to continue to be the monster that they have been. I want to say that any actor I show or any victim I show in this set is not to attack the actual actor. It's to show the effects of the industry after they have been in it and what it does to them mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Stars, you often think about the dark side of the entertainment industry. It's become a pattern we've seen time and time again, where kids gain a tremendous amount of fame at a very young age, then struggle to adjust and adapt to normal life by the time they reach adulthood. In the late 90s and early 2000s, a lot of us grew up watching these child stars on networks such as Disney and Nickelodeon. From shows like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody to Drake and Josh, a lot of us were hooked and binge watching after school and late night on weekends. From these shows, many stars made a name for themselves, from the likes of Ariana Grande and Selena Gomez. One of the biggest stars from that era was Amanda Bynes. Amanda was all over Nickelodeon during those years, being featured on the sketch comedy shows All That, as well as the game show Figure It Out. The producers at Nickelodeon liked Amanda so much that they even gave her her own show. She went on to feature in movies and TV shows as she got older. Her potential was limitless as she was a natural talent and already had accomplished so much at such a young age. But things took a dramatic turn when one day she decided to retire from the one thing she had been doing her entire life. Amanda Bynes' story begins in Thousand Oaks, California. She was the youngest of 3 children. Her father, Rick, was a dentist, and her mom, Lynn, worked alongside him as their office manager. During her early years, Amanda would often draw sketches and had aspirations of becoming a fashion designer. She was a sharp, quick-witted kid filled with personality. Her father, being a huge fan of comedy, saw that she also had a great sense of humor. She was naturally funny and did great impersonations of celebrities. With early signs of potential, her parents figured that she would be a great fit for acting. She decided to give it a try, and it turned out that she was pretty good at it. She would end up getting roles in various advertisements such as Barbie commercials and Nestle's Bunch of Crunch when she was just 7 years old. One day, her dad suggested that she do a 6-week comedy camp at LA's notorious Laugh Factory.
Amanda Bynes.
Maybe I should have skipped that 13th candy bar.
There, she was able to gain valuable experience and was able to learn from seasoned vets like Arsenio Hall and Richard Pryor. During her time at the camp, she would get scouted by Nickelodeon producers Brian Robbins and Dan Schneider. They saw talent in young Amanda, and they would go on to cast her on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, family. So Amanda Bynes is a special case also. I remember back in the day I seen her, and one of her last movies I seen her in was a movie where she was dressing like a boy playing soccer, and then some years later I seen her, she was going on a mental rant, dressing and looking weird, and it was just, I'm like, what's going on with her? It was like one of the first things that made me question what was going on with these kids who are stars who get out of Hollywood and get off these TV shows. I'm like, they should be living well. They had a good career and made good money, but that's just what we perceive as people. We don't know what goes on the inside. These people are betrayed by their parents, raped by their parents, R word or whatever y'all want to say, But this is what happens, and it's not a good thing. The pedophilia is not a good thing, and taking advantage of people is not a good thing, but it happens by their own people.
mononucleosis. She got all the way down to 100 pounds. Even though she didn't feel well and was super underweight, her mother actually saw her thin physique as a positive and told her she never looked better. This would obviously plant the seed in young Amanda's head, and from then on, she strived to be skinny. Not to mention, during this time, the skinny girl look was trending, as other famous celebrities such as Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton were flaunting insanely skinny physiques. With all of this brewing, Amanda became obsessed with her appearance and soon developed body dysmorphia. She even attributed her desire to stay skinny to be a major cause for some of her bad habits. In an interview with Paper Magazine, she recalls reading an article in a magazine about the new skinny pill, and they were talking about how women were taking it to stay thin. I was like, well, I have to get my hands on that. The skinny pill Amanda's referring to in this quote is Adderall. Adderall is a medication used prescribed to those who are diagnosed with ADHD. It allows such individuals to focus better and aid their inattention. And although the drug has its benefits, it also has a high risk for substance abuse, and far too common. People fake symptoms in order to get prescribed, which is what Amanda did. This would mark the beginning of her potential downfall. 2006, Bynes would co-star in the film She's the Man alongside Channing Tatum. In the film, Amanda would play Viola Johnson, who comes up with a scheme to pose as her twin brother Sebastian and take his place at a new boarding school. The film did well, as it went on to gross $57 million at the box office, and some would say this was Amanda's breakout role. She showcased her comedic background and overall did a phenomenal job. Now, although the film was successful and many were praising her performance, for Amanda, this film would actually lead her down a dark path, causing her to spiral out of control. In an interview with Paper Magazine, she stated, "When the movie came out and I saw it," she says, "I went into a deep depression for 4 to 6 months because I didn't like how I looked when I was a boy." She paused. "I've never told anyone that. Seeing herself with short hair and sideburns was a super strange and out-of-body experience. It just really put me into a funk." With Amanda already having body image and self-esteem issues, this would all but exacerbate it. Not to mention, she was constantly being compared to other girls within her peer group, such as Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay at the time was being casted for edgier roles, as she recently rose to stardom in the movie Mean Girls. Amanda was often typecasted for more quirky, comedic, good girl roles due to her background. Shortly after the release of She's the Man, Amanda hopped right into another gig with the film Hairspray. Amanda stated that movie to this day was the most amazing experience she ever had on a set, getting the chance to sing, dance, and act alongside co-stars like John Travolta and Zac Efron. In 2009, she kept the ball rolling by signing a 2-movie deal with production company Screen Gems to film the movie Easy A, which would get released the following year. In 2010, she was casted to play Paige in the film Hall Pass with Owen Wilson, and it was around this time where her addictions really got the best of her, as she was abusing her prescriptions. In an interview with Paper Magazine, she stated, "When I was doing Hall Pass, I remember being in the trailer and I used to chew the Adderall tablets because I thought they made me more high that way," she says. "I remember chewing on a bunch of them and literally being scatterbrained and not being able to focus on my lines or memorize them for that matter." Due to this, Amanda left the set on the first day and never returned due to personal issues. This was really the turning point in Amanda's career, as things would only spiral.
Yep. We back, family. So, as y'all see, man, drugs play a big part in these downfalls of these celebrities. You know, like I said, this video is not the best of celebrities. I could show plenty of bad pictures that TMZ then took, or any other paparazzi that they put out for the world to see. I'm trying to make it light as possible, but it ain't nice. You know, when people wonder why these people can't recover, it's also a level of certain things that they have to do in Hollywood and on screen to go through certain doors to get certain roles. If they don't expose themselves to do certain things, they're not going to get certain roles.
More people are speaking out against Nickelodeon and some of the creators. It's King Asante, and let's talk about it. As we know, Jeanette McCurdy recently released a book called I'm Glad My Mom Died, where she talks about the alleged abuse she experienced while working at Nickelodeon, and now several childhood stars are speaking out against Dan Schneider, the creator of Zoey 101 and Victorious. A recent article put up by Insider said that Schneider would push the boundaries of children's TV, such as ramping up the series' sexual innuendos, and campaigned for skimpier outfits. Daniela Monette, who played Trina in Victorious, basically said that some of the actors' outfits on the show were not age appropriate, and she wouldn't even wear some of that as an adult today. She also talked about how she was uncomfortable with the scene that she was contracted to do. She told Nickelodeon about this, but they still aired it. It was a scene where she ate a pickle and applied lip gloss. And there have been other people like Alexa Nicholas from Zoe 101 that are also speaking out against Nickelodeon, saying that she didn't feel safe. And I think we're going to continue to see a lot of these childhood stars talk about their experiences with networks. More people are speaking out against Nickelodeon.
Yeah, we back, fam. You know, I didn't even watch, the iCarly's and the Victoria's shows and Zoe 101. I was older by that time. I was looking at women. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was looking at little girls running around. Wasn't even watching cartoons. But that girl wrote a book called "I'm Glad My Mom Died." That's crazy to me. But I tell y'all, these people, parents be knowing what be going on, and they allow it to go on. For somebody to make a statement like that with writing a book and they was on a children's show is a bold statement. But now we're going to take y'all deeper into the dark side. What goes on these casting couches or these pool sides or I guess in these auditions when people are chosen or selected? Is it about talent or is it about what are you willing to let them do? What are your parents willing to let them do? Because a lot of us think when we see people on TV, oh, they're so talented. Everybody's talented. That's why I say audition. Everybody's talented. But it's politics in the game. And everybody doesn't get chosen because they're talented in this game. Some people slip through the cracks, but most of the time people are chosen and selected based off of other things other than their performance on the screen.
A video about Dan Schneider's unsupervised pool parties. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. That's sort of one of the first shows we did about him. And the way that came about was very odd. I reached out to somebody I knew in LA who used to work for a studio. He was a below the line guy, but he worked in Hollywood. He knows a few people. And I reached out to him and said, look, you got connections. Can you get me some phone numbers of or resources that I can contact at Viacom and Nickelodeon? Or I didn't even say Viacom and Nickelodeon. I said, just, do you have people at networks? And he asked me why. And I said, we're doing a little digging on a producer out in Hollywood by the name of Dan Schneider. And this guy, unprompted, started going off on a tirade about Dan Schneider and how he was, quote, and this is just somebody telling me off the record, that he's, quote, an evil pedophile. And he's one of the most evil people in Hollywood, and he needs to be ruined. And I was like, wow, okay. And keep in mind, this is a man who no longer works in Hollywood, no longer has an interest in Hollywood. He has no dog in this fight. Right. But he seemed really, 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 really passionate about this. So I asked him if he would be able to come on the show without his name being shared, but to come on and share what he heard about things of this nature with the unsupervised pool parties. He agreed to come on. He agreed to speak again to anybody in the media that wanted to speak. Off the record, he didn't want the glory. He didn't want his website plugged. He just wanted to get the information out there. So he came on, and yeah, there were stories that he would have kids over to the house and tell, and again, this is all very, very much indicative of what they do at these networks. There is a methodical separating of the children from the parents. And it's all very pre-planned. They bring you to this place called Oakwood Apartments out there by Burbank. And the kids have their own spot. The parents have their own spot. They tell the parents, like, look, man, the kids are going to have dialogue coaches all day and then doing this and filming sketches and makeup. So here's a little stipend. Here's a little cash. Parents go out and have some fun. And they separate the parents, and then they begin to treat these kids like adults. Give them a little booze and give them a little, smoke a little pot with them. And then it's very methodical, and these pool parties are another indicator of that he would go, just have the kids out, we'll watch them, don't worry about it. I've never met anybody who doesn't have kids who wants to have kids over their house. That's a weird thing to me.
Right. And they would also encourage them to when they would separate them in these Beverly Hills in these apartments that were specifically for the networks, and they would tell these teens and preteens, you want to hang out by the pool in your bathing suit. That's how Megan Fox was found.
Yeah, Hillary Duff was
Hillary
one of the names
Duff.
they mentioned.
That you want to be out there you want to be out there hanging out in your bikinis because that's how girls are found in the industry. It was like Mike said, it methodically separating the kids from the parents. We even had on our show Angelique Bates, who talked about the culture out there, who used to be on all that, and she said that her mom was always around her because she didn't trust it, and one of the producers was making advances at her mom, and her mom turned him down, and because of that, Angelique Bates ended up paying the price and was taken off the show, and it was either play ball or you're out of here. And I think that mindset, and especially when you're a kid, if you think about it, you're 12, 13 years old, you're at Universal Studios all day. You're riding roller coasters on your off time. You don't really think of what's going on. You think it's summer camp, but it was like Mike said, treating them like adults, letting them have these free range without any adult supervision, and these private auditions that were going on, and it was.
And that's what pedophiles do.
Yeah, it's grooming. It seemed like grooming.
Yeah, family. As y'all see, what he said, it seemed like grooming. That's exactly what it was. Apparently, it was grooming. I mean, and if the parents didn't agree with it, you could be off the show. So these kids had their careers and their jobs on the line, their parents, their houses, the cars, everything was riding on them. And if they didn't do what these people wanted them to do, then they wouldn't make it. So by the time they make it in Hollywood and they're grown, they're totally detached and desensitized. And it doesn't bother them that to let somebody grab and touch on them or whatever and have their way with them at that point. So everybody know about the show Blue's Clues. We used to watch it all the time. But, what happened? Who are these people? These people are just regular people, but they are held under egregious standards because they work with the children, and these people are just like everyday people, and we need to understand this. And the people who they work for are monsters, and a lot of people try to run from this industry. So play Blue's Clues. Let's see what happened with Steve.
Steve was depressed, got addicted to H, and rebelled against the kid show to start a rock band. And that theory wasn't entirely false. While the public saw a seemingly cheerful demeanor on screen, Steve struggled with his depreciating mental health off screen. I didn't know it yet, but I was the happiest depressed person in North America. I was struggling with severe clinical depression the whole time I was on that show. Steve's job was to be happy, uplifting, full of joy and wonder all the time. He had to pretend to be interested and amazed at the smallest things, like discovering Blue's paw print that was directly in front of him. He spent 10 hours per day filming in an empty Blue room so that he could be superimposed on the digitally animated world of Blue and her friends. At the time, technology wasn't as advanced as today, meaning Steve had nothing visual or tangible to work with. Steve said his experience was awful and compared it to acting at the bottom of a swimming pool. Pools are filled with water, so stay hydrated. As if his experience wouldn't be any more taxing on his mental health, the insane things posted about him online made things even worse. Take this game on Newgrounds, for example, where your objective was to destroy Blue and then assassinate Steve. You eliminate the dog, then go into the house where Steve is flipping you off, so you shoot him until his head pops off and then the house burns down. He also had to read creepy fan fiction, like this one that romanticizes the idea of Blue assaulting Steve with a deadly weapon. For some reason, people love the idea of stripping the innocence away from a children's TV show and trying to create a disturbing disturbing narrative around it. To this day, TikTokers express theories that Steve is a drug addict living in a crack house and that his hallucinations cause him to talk to inanimate objects, which come to life. People also believe that the children's voices we occasionally hear are actually Steve's neglected children, helplessly watching him feed into his addiction. Or the reason Steve is excited whenever he gets mail is because it either includes the welfare check he plans to spend on more drugs or contains the drugs themselves. Most of the time, rumors like this are easily dismissed, but for some reason, millions of people all around the world genuinely believe them. It's likely that even you have some random conspiracy theory about Steve embedded into your brain. However, most people just thought he died. An easy one to disprove, but it still worried him. I'm starting to think that maybe there's something people know that I don't know. In November 1999, the New York Times published an article detailing Steve Burns' time working on Blue's Clues and described the show's impact on children. Most notably, the article addressed the unsettling rumors surrounding Mr. Burns' well-being. The rumors were so prominent that the talk show host Rosie O'Donnell invited Steve to appear on her show. "I died a whole lot of different ways," Steve recalled. "Rosie's kid is a big fan, so I just went on and said, 'Hi, I'm alive. Bye.' It was pretty easy to prove I wasn't dead." These rumors were so powerful that Steve felt the need to address Rosie O'Donnell's child with "I'm alive" because he knew children around the world were genuinely concerned about him. Because you have to keep in mind that Blue's Clues was the highest rated premiere of any Nickelodeon program and became crucial to the network's growth. It was a pioneer in interactive TV. The original Blue's Clues engaged its preschool age audience by breaking the fourth wall and speaking directly into the camera. Millions of kids around the world felt a deep and personal connection to Steve, which made these rumors more potent. It also made his exit from the show more detrimental. Mr. Burns was 22 when the show premiered, and as he approached his 30s, it was time to move on.
Reveals the bold truth about his departure. I knew I wasn't going to be doing children's television all my life, mostly because I refused to lose my hair on a kids' TV show, and it was happening.
Steve knew that his baldness would ruin his boyish look and appeal. The network insisted that he wear a wig, but he refused. Combine this with his depreciating mental health, it was finally time to exit. He told the viewers goodbye in his final send-off, alongside his new replacement Joe, and children around the world thought he was just going to go to college and he would return shortly. They were mistaken. Steve was not off to college. He was about to embark on his journey of being the lead singer of a psychedelic rock band. Steve was interested in music way before Blue's Clues. Steve Burns.
Steve wilding out. Nah. Steve say he want to wild out now, man. He say he tired of being under them constraints. But you know, as you see, man, children's TV and TV is very powerful. You know, where, you know, celebrities say, look, you got to tell my kids you still alive. They think you gone now. Like, it's like that real to people. But that's Hollywood. That's movies. That's what it's supposed to be. But, you know, we got to move on, man. We got to move on. It's time, man. It's time to switch up sides. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know what it is. It's time to go into the Disney Channel side. You know what I'm saying? That's my we're gonna go with that. Yeah, so we're gonna go into Disney, man. Everybody know about Disney, you know, That's So Raven and all the shows that was on there, you know what I'm saying? This is such a deep subject matter that, you know, I could do 3, 4, 5 videos and still won't get through all of the people and all of the victims. So let's go, man.
Is because it was with Disney Channel.
We can fix this. Hey man, we can find her. We can find Celia. We can protect her.
Anything you need, we can find a way to make it happen, son.
Come on now.
It can happen anytime, anywhere. I don't even know how it happens.
Al, listen to me. You're alive. 6 months from now, you saw it. You saw it. Man, you saw it.
But if I'm not here.
Come on, Al, get down.
If I'm not here, it means we can change things.
Al, please get down.
What I saw, I killed her. What you saw doesn't have to play out that way.
Al, what are you talking about?
I found a way to change the game.
Al, listen to me. Celia's death was an accident, okay? A terrible, random accident. There's nothing you could have done to avoid this. Nothing.
Is because it was with Disney Channel, and it would be the flagship TV show, the first one on the network. They were trying to compete against Nickelodeon. The famous Jet Jackson was a hit right out the gate, and each year the fan base would grow more and more. And although it was a Disney Channel TV show, it still had a little bit of substance where it could tackle issues such as being black in America. There was an episode where Lee Thompson Young's character, Jet Jackson, was wrongfully arrested by police, but once they realized that he was a movie star, they let him go.
Sad fact is, despite how far we've come in the last 40 years, a young black man living in the community is still far more likely to find himself in the back of a cop car than the back of a limo.
Today, I saw some things that
things I tried to protect you from. You think I don't know what it means to be a black man in America?
The famous Jet Jackson never had a decline in ratings. The popularity actually continued to grow, and Lee Thompson Young would be nominated for multiple awards. But despite the success of the show, Disney had a rule that after 65 episodes, TV shows would be canceled no matter what. They say it has something to do with budget. They would later change this rule, but at the time, that's what it was for the Jet Jackson TV show. And in 2001, it came to an end. And not only that, Lee Thompson Young's mom had begun to see some changes in his behavior, and they sought medical attention, and he was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This was in his late teens, but despite his diagnosis, he would continue to work and he would continue to get treatment. He would go to therapy. He would take his medications, and he stayed busy as an actor. This wasn't a story of a person who had a hit show as a child, but then wasn't able to find work. Lee continued to work constantly, and he would be seen in multiple films throughout the years. In 2004, he was in Friday Night Lights, and in 2006, he played the role of Devon Harris in Aquila and the Bee. And in 2007, he would play the role of Delmar Del Reed in the film The Hills Have Eyes Too. And he would work consistently over the next decade, making appearances in TV shows such as Lincoln Heights, Smallville. He had multiple episodes on the TV show Scrubs. And in 2010, he would get another big break on a new TV show titled Rizzoli and Isles. He would be playing the role of Detective Barry Frost, and this would make him a main character in a major network TV show once again. So things in his career were going very well, and life seemed to be good for Lee Thompson Young, especially on the videos where he would show the set of Rizzoli and Isles and how everybody got along on the show and how much everybody enjoyed him being around.
Hello, everybody out there. Hey, this is Lee Thompson Young, and today is my first day back on the set of Rizzoli and Isles, and I'm gonna go in and get ready for another fun day on the set. So come on, let's go. So here we are. We're getting close to the set, and I'm just walking up now to my trailer.
While you are watching videos on YouTube, so far today I've already made $548.
As you can see here, can you see that? Detective Frost, Detective Barry Frost. That's my character, that's who I play on TV.
And despite Lee being in Hollywood ever since he was a kid and having an extremely hectic schedule, he still managed to attend the University of Southern California, where he majored in cinematic arts, and he also pledged to the fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi. But even though Lee had the reputation of being a great person who could put a smile on your face when you was feeling down, behind his smile, he was still fighting his demons of his bipolar diagnosis. According to his mom, he would reach out to her and tell her when he was feeling down, but she said after a few weeks, he would always pick himself back up and everything would seem normal. And his sister too, she said he would reach out, but after checking on him for a few days, he would be back to normal, so they would assume that everything was okay. But unfortunately,
Yeah, fam. So, I don't watch Disney Channel a lot, man. For the people my age, my sister, she watched Disney Channel. It was for, you know, it didn't really get jumping to like, That's So Raven, and he kicked the door down for Disney Channel. I remember, they was marketing him heavy. I remember watching Jet Jackson a little bit before, he died, and they really stopped airing this show after he died. I didn't. It was weird to me because he was one of the. I'm like, he was a big star. He was at the beginning of his career. I'm like, why would he? What I'm saying, do that. But mental health is serious, and this brother, had demons he was fighting. I can't say he had a mental problem if he's enrolled at the University of Southern California, USC. You know what I'm saying? He's there with the stars. He's getting movie roles. I think that, me personally, I think that he should have had bigger movie roles after he played Jackson. He shouldn't have played all these side movie roles. But like I said, there's certain doors if you don't go through, you're not going to get to certain levels. I feel like he probably hit that point and said, man, I'm not, I deserve it. And he probably couldn't take it, mentally. So, rest in peace to the brother.
Lee Thompson. On August the 29th, 2013, when Lee Thompson Young failed to show up for a taping of Rizzoli and Isles, police were called to check on his well-being. He was found dead in his home, and his manager confirmed it was suicide by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was later released that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was suffering from depression before his death. He's remembered fondly as the famous Jet Jackson from the Disney Channel original movie and series.
Stands for Lee Thompson Young, and he's going to share some stories with you.
I have an answer. No, okay,
yeah,
we're going to go to the college dreamers first.
Yeah, for my college dreamers.
Keep dreaming.
Yes. For my college dreamers who are my high schoolers who are on their way to college, that's, I guess, your take.
People can sympathize with when you see them going through the situation. So it was really challenging.
I think as actors, when you approach a horror film, I think people tend to look at the horror genre and maybe not see it as serious as.
Yeah, family. As y'all see, that was Jet Jackson, and that was the other actor. Everybody knows him as I remember him in movies back when I was a kid, but everybody know him as Baby Joker from Next Friday. And this is what's crazy about being an actor and being in that industry, that everybody knows you as your acting roles, and these people get lost in these roles. They don't know who they are. They're playing 2 and 3 characters and they lose themselves. And when they sit down, they don't even know who they are. And that's the beginning of their destruction, when they have no connection to themselves.
Gates for how they treat their black women stars? Like, it's very obvious and intentional. Well, even though Zendaya got the second best role, she ended up loving the role because Rocky was a lot like her. And while talking about the character, she said,
well, Rocky, she's the sweet girl, and she's the quiet one, and she's the one who's always looking out for her friends, and I think that I'm just like her.
However, Zen was also bold enough to talk about how her skin color placed her at a disadvantage at Disney. In an interview with Cosmopolitan in 2016, she opened up about the experience on Disney and revealed that some of the people in the company, including her own publicist, were openly racist. She narrated an experience when she didn't like how her hair looked at a photo shoot, and her publicist told her, "You should just be happy with it. They haven't had a black girl on the cover since forever." Wow. And that was the person who was supposed to make sure she landed jobs? That must have really messed up her self-esteem. Jeez. And it was even messier, considering Disney's problematic depiction of people of color over the years. For instance, in Dumbo, one of the crows is named Jim Crow, which happens to be the same name as the set of laws that enforce segregation. In Dumbo, faceless black workers also labor to offensive lyrics like, "When we get our pay, we throw our money all away." In Peter Pan, Native people are referred to as red, which is a slur against Native Americans. And to make it even more offensive, the main characters sing a song titled, "What Makes the Red Man Red?" In the Aristocats, there's a cat named Shungon, with stereotypical East Asian features who plays the piano with chopsticks. The character is also voiced by a white person singing in a poorly accented voice. And in Shake It Up, we never saw Rocky's side of the family. In the time it was finally revealed, Rocky's mom was shown as a struggling salon owner, while Cece's family was shown to be rich and wealthy. It doesn't get messier than this. And those are just a few examples. The list is literally endless. In an attempt.
Yes, sir. So the truth is coming out, man. Everybody in these industries is coming out with their stories of their discrimination, the racism, the underpayment, the over bad treatment. And, it's just a bad thing. It caused these people to be on the news, being in a bad position. Here's just a few.
All right, so who remembers their favorite TV show growing up? Growing up, the best TV shows had to be on either Disney, Cartoon Network, or Nickelodeon. Facts or fiction? But do you ever wonder, where are them motherfuckers at right now? Me too. Let's find out. Let's go. So who remembers Bro from Corey in the House? Whoever watched Corey in the House? Who even knows what that show is? It's a classic. So Corey was doing a lot of shit in that house, actually, including sending his meat to minors. 13-year-olds was his taste. R. Kelly Corey. Next, we got Demi Lovato from Camp Rock. S-tier show. Love Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato was using meth, cocaine, heroin. Hey, I'm just glad Demi Lovato is okay now. You made a classic, so that's forever. Mr. Mosby charged with manslaughter. Next, we got Stewart from Jesse, who chose to switch sides. Congratulations.
I went on the trip to Hawaii, and that's final. But I don't want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, family. So, they make people take background checks to be polices and government officials, but it seems like when they working with the kids, it's very light when it comes to the background check. But hey, as y'all see, these people, due to being in this industry, pick up the ways of the industry by wanting underage children and underage spouses. They get hooked on drugs so they can cope and get through what they have seen and been through, and it's just horrible. And then when the industry say, look, we can't deal with you no more, cut them completely off, they out there. I believe the poster boy of the Disney Channel post actors is Orlando Brown. This brother was in all kind of movies as a child. He was a childhood star. He was in Major Payne and On Martin and the Jamie Foxx show. He was in all kind of movies, and and he was very big as a teenager on the That's So Raven show, but he seemed to have lost his mind. And everybody understands that something is off. If he has been in all of these successful situations, why is he acting this way? Why is he saying all these confessions? He got so many confessions on the industry, I can't even play them all. I don't know if all of them real. I don't know if all of them fake, but he has said so much outrageous things and eye-opening things about the industry that, I can understand why he's going crazy. I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know what he's been through, but he's been in the industry as a child, and he cannot cope as an adult. And I'm just going to pray for the brother, but y'all check this out.
Not me, not you, but the people that he's dealing with, and she became privy to this. She witnessed this. Now, that is what we are talking about. We are talking about the ritualizing, sexualized aggression directed at young children, mainly male, in order to harness their energy.
The whole situation paints a seriously sketchy picture of what's going on in the entertainment world. It's like there's this whole secret underbelly that's starting to come to light, and it's even more disturbing than we could have imagined. Now, it's also interesting that Sloan Bella mentioned Justin Bieber as someone who might have been subjected to these rumored rituals. And, as most of you probably know, there's been a lot of speculation about Diddy's inappropriate relationship with both Justin and Usher.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Correct. Okay.
Remember?
And now word on the street is that That's So Raven star Orlando Brown might have been a victim of these same disgusting rituals allegedly happening in the secret back rooms of industry parties. To give you some background first, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Orlando Brown was one of the most promising young actors. And from 2001 to 2007, he was juggling 3 Disney shows at once: The Proud Family, Fillmore, and of course, he was a big deal as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven. Once Orlando stepped into the Disney world, fans just fell in love with him, and he pretty much became one of the faces of that era, leaving a real mark on the hearts of viewers.
Yeah, well, I'm Eddie Thomas, and I've always dreamed of being in show business.
Well, son, I'm about to make your dream come true.
Really? It's just that easy?
Yep. So why don't we celebrate? How about a cup of coffee and a donut?
My big break and a donut?
That's So Raven was massive, and it smashed all kinds of Disney records, becoming the first Disney series to reach a 100-episode milestone. However, as the actors grew up, the show's high school vibe just didn't fit anymore, so Disney decided to wrap it all up in November 2007. Now, here's where things took a turn for Orlando. The same year That's So Raven wrapped, he got in trouble down in Houston for drug possession, and that was just the beginning of his struggles. Orlando tried to transition from acting to music, but his music career never quite took off, and he kept running into trouble with the law. Things took a rough turn in 2011 when he was arrested for DUI in Hollywood, driving around with his pregnant girlfriend. And if that wasn't enough, less than a year later, he got hit with another DUI. Courts weren't too thrilled with Orlando either. He wasn't exactly following their orders, and a judge decided to throw the book at him with a 180-day jail sentence. But that wasn't the end of it, because in July 2014, this audio came out where someone who sounded like Orlando was apparently threatening a woman and her family.
I'll kill you, your mama, your daughter, and everybody.
Orlando's rep claimed this wasn't Orlando's voice. But then Orlando came out saying the woman was a stalker who just wouldn't give him a break. He was later booked for disturbing the peace.
Yeah, family. I tell you what, one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. He knows something. And he ain't just wilding out for nothing. I believe he has experienced the rituals of Hollywood, and it has drove him crazy. As y'all see, he has a drug problem now. He has an alcohol problem. And like I said, all you can do is pray for the brother, because he got to help himself. But he's experienced and seen so much and been at the top and never could get back in that club again because of what he said. So he has to live where he's at. And anybody that tries to help him seems to be, you see all these videos, people kicking him out their house and, telling him to get away. There's people out there that know he's a star and tries to help him, say, man, we want you to get back on your feet. But, this always seems to happen.
Whatever.
What would she come here for, bro? What would my wife come here for? You say you can have her here in 5 minutes?
Yeah, for you. She said she's supposed to come here for you. Are you able to go somewhere? Are you able to go somewhere?
To his house?
Huh? Okay, well, space it, yeah. Why don't you go back and talk to him?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Speaking to police, Sanders explains he's in business with Brown, who he describes as a former child star.
What's your relationship to him?
We were in business. Like I said, he's an actor. I'm shooting a movie.
What's his first name?
Orlando Brown. You ever seen Major Payne?
Yeah.
That's him, the little kid.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Like that's a Raven. That's him too.
Sanders says Brown was facing life in a homeless shelter, so he took the actor in.
It's a long backstory, but like I said, he was going to be homeless. I was like, well, no, don't be homeless, bro. Here, I got a house and I'm renovating. Stay here until then, till you figure it out.
But Sanders said he needed police assistance after Brown allegedly came after him with a hammer and a knife blade.
Pulling the knife and the hammer out.
Well,
what does that do?
If he pulled a knife and hammer on you, you could be charged with domestic violence.
Okay. Well, if that's the route I gotta go, I don't want to go that route, but he just had a knife and a hammer.
Okay, what do you do towards you? I mean, how
he
do you...
came in aggressive mode and was like, hey, no, I'm about to up, I'm about to...
And he was coming towards you?
He was thrusting it, forward thrust and all of that.
Okay.
But I did feel threatened.
Okay.
For my safety.
Was that box cutter up there?
There's a knife on the bottom over here underneath that cardboard box.
Let's go and look at this stuff.
Officials explained to Sanders that Brown can't easily be kicked out of the home.
Okay, you want to talk to him?
What's going on?
So basically, this is Orlando Brown.
Yep.
Orlando Brown's an actor, child star. I thought I could help him. I thought I could save him. He's in here going crazy, almost at my house.
This is him?
This is him. Okay. He doesn't live here. I let him stay here because he went to a homeless shelter about a month ago. I thought I can help him. There's nobody I can. I was trying to get him back on Dr. Phil. He's got to go. I can't do nothing.
How long have you been staying here?
He doesn't have no mail coming here. I probably talked to my lawyer. None of that. He's been staying here for a little while.
Okay. Well, it gives us I know you've been talking to your lawyer, but...
Yeah. So, as y'all see, man, when I first watched this, man, I thought that was his real brother, but I did my research and it wasn't. This is just a brother who, in Ohio, who was letting him stay there, who seen him out there and was in a homeless shelter and said, hey, you come stay at one of my properties. So from what he said, he started tearing up the property and wasn't doing what he said he was going to do. So he said, look, man, I'm going to call your wife to come and get you. And he took it as, oh, you're talking to my wife, you sleeping with my wife, and came at that brother with a hammer and a knife, which had the police come. He ended up pressing charges on him so he can get him out the house, because if he didn't, I guess that he wouldn't have to leave the house, some type of thing like that. So I don't know the laws in Ohio, but when I seen it, I said, okay, he's messing with his wife. I said, so who is his wife? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't even know he had a wife. I'm like, man, it must be tough for her, with all I done seen dealing with, him mentally. And, I went and found a video and I'm like, oh man, they saying she constantly leaving. And, so check this out, fam.
Narrows 9 exits, so I didn't see.
Danielle, get these people out of my house. Get out of my house, sir. Get out of my house, sir.
Stop yelling.
Get out of my house, sir. Get out of my house, sir. Danielle, look what you're causing. Tell these people to leave.
Only one being loud.
Danielle, tell these people to leave, Danielle. Danielle, tell these people to leave, baby. No, this is mine. Danielle, tell these people to leave, Danielle. No, Danielle. Danielle, stop! Hey, stop. Okay. Please leave. Please leave, Danielle. Danielle, this is not right.
That's my backpack.
Danielle, look what they're making this do, y'all. Look what they in my house doing, y'all.
Bring them, because you're doing
Danielle, please leave. Tell them to leave, baby. Baby, tell them to leave. Now, sir, get out of my house. You guys came in my house under my authority, without my authority. Please get out of my house.
I'm here for the safety of your wife.
Please get out of my house.
Let me speak. You will.
Please get out of my house. I have my son in my hand. Please get out of my house.
And nobody's within 10 feet of you.
Please get out of my house. Please get out of my house.
Your wife's done packing her stuff.
Please get out of my house.
Yeah. You can say it till you're blue in the face.
Get out of my house.
Come to your room.
Leave out of my house.
Again? Say it again. A little louder this time.
Okay. Danielle, don't do this right now, Danielle.
Man, he's loud.
Danielle, you gonna take? No. Stop. Okay, you. She took my. You took my birth certificate. She took my birth certificate.
Okay, I'll give you your birth
You took my birth certificate.
Calm down.
You took my birth certificate. Why are you doing this? No, Danielle, I have it. You're taking my birth certificate. Why are you doing this, Danielle? Baby, look at me. Look at me, Danielle. Danielle. Baby, look at me. Why are you doing this, babe? Stop doing this, babe. Baby, I have not threatened to hurt you at all. Danielle, I have not threatened to hurt you at all. Could you please move?
Be Mark on. Ready? And action.
Yo, what's up? I'm Orlando Brown from That's So Raven, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Well, let's keep the work down, please. Thank you.
Guys, we're rolling. Very quiet, please.
Man, that was some of my best work.
Start out a little further to your right with the draw.
Okay.
A little more to the right. Go further.
This way, right?
That way to your right. Yeah, that's where you can start just a little bit lower. Yeah. Okay, here we go. And action.
Yo, what's up? I'm Orlando Brown from That's So Raven, and you're watching Disney Channel.
A little slower with the drum. No, do your job a little bit faster. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just worry more about the big arcs on the ears.
Amen.
So yeah, you can make it a little faster.
All right.
And action.
Yo, what's up? I'm Orlando Brown from That's So Raven, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Yeah, family. So I pray that brother get back to being his old self, as y'all just saying, because, man, he done failed, but that's what Hollywood do. That's what Hollywood do. These people need the Most High. That's the only way they could make it through what they've endured. They're going to be forever plagued mentally by the things they've seen and done. And, all they can do is repent and move forward. Now, he's the poster boy for, what goes on the dark side of Disney. But I can't leave without the poster girl. I would say is That's So Raven, but no, it's not her. Even though she's anti-social, she's not. The numbers say it's Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus. That ain't even her real name, but she's the poster girl for Disney. And let's see what she says and what happened with her and her experiences there.
While being a judge on The Voice. She recalls how at 13 she was already working, so while her co-judges had a childhood, she didn't. She describes her days on the set as pretty drastic. Every morning, I was getting coffee jammed down my throat to wake me up. I just had to keep going, be tough, be strong. Everything happened to me on that set. And while she went through all of this for the role of Hannah, she actually revealed that she was probably the worst paid actor during that time. I just wanted to be on TV. I mean, at one point, they'll probably kill me for saying it, I was probably the least paid person on my Hannah Montana cast because I didn't know any better. I was just like, I can be on Disney. Yeah, I want to do it. The exploitation of young actors is a whole other category we could get into. But Miley educating herself later on and getting the coin she deserves for her hard work is definitely goals. There are millions of stories about how much pressure is put on young stars, and Miley had to keep up not only her bubbly and wholesome personality, but also her image had to be perfect all the time. Disney really kept a close eye on how she was dressing and what she was saying or doing. Hannah sang about nobody's perfect, but Disney doesn't think that about their stars. They simply have to be. And after the years she had spent playing Hannah Montana, the actress says this role caused some body image issues. She opened up about her struggles in an interview. From the time I was 11, it was, you're a pop star. That means you have to be blonde, and you have to have long hair, and you have to put on some glittery tight thing. Meanwhile, I'm this fragile little girl playing a 16-year-old in a wig and a ton of makeup. It was like toddlers and tiaras. Miley's growing up phase was heavily influenced by the fact that she had to constantly be this camera-ready pop star. I was told for so long what a girl is supposed to be from being on that show. I was made to look like someone that I wasn't, which probably caused some body dysmorphia because I had been made pretty every day for so long. And then when I wasn't on that show, it was like, who the F am I? Miley also mentions that playing Hannah Montana and handling her own fame at the same time affected her teen years so much that it got to her mentally. I think it got harder when I started touring as both. I toured as Hannah Montana and as myself. I think that's probably what's a little bit wrong with me now. I marked that up to doing some extreme damage in my psyche as an adult person.
Yeah. As y'all see, Miss Miley Cyrus said that she didn't know who she was, and as an adult person, she had played Hannah Montana so long that she didn't even know who Miley Cyrus was. And not on top of that, I don't know her stories about who touched her, but if they not trying to take your body, they're trying to take your money. And she said she wasn't getting paid. She said she was getting paid the least on her show. She just wanted to be on TV, and it blew up.
Miley Cyrus hate Disney. Miley became an immediate star when her show Hannah Montana was put on Disney Channel, but the fame wasn't always fun for a 12-year-old Miley. She spent 14-hour days on set, recorded music in the evening, and spent weekends performing live for fans. Disney sent Miley on a world tour that grossed over $70 million, but Miley only made about $10,000 per concert. This is because Miley Cyrus was technically a stage name and Disney didn't have to pay her if they didn't want to. After the tour, Miley legally changed her name from Destiny Hope to Miley so she could negotiate better contracts with Disney. Then Miley had an idea to break out of her contract with Disney. She stirred up controversy by kissing her boyfriends in public and pole dancing at award shows. Miley started speaking out about her hate for Disney, and in 2011, Disney ended their contract with Miley. Miley proved she didn't need Disney on her Miley Cyrus World Tour. She sold over 800,000 tickets and made over $67 million.
Yeah, family. So, look like she made her money back, all the money they took, but as y'all see, this industry is wicked. You know, she had to change her name from Destiny Hope to Miley Cyrus so she can get more money. That's crazy. This is what this industry will make you do. We all remember how she was wilding out, breaking out of that good girl attitude, and that a lot of young girls followed that wave of her, you know, not being a kid no more, being this seductive adult. So in the video, a few videos back, they spoke about P. Diddy. You seen him talking to Justin Bieber. You see him, but nobody knew he had an artist by the name of Lil Jerome back in the day, who was a singer. And you know, some things happened with this young man that we're going to reveal. But first, let's get a story. How did he meet Diddy? And we got to understand this industry was pushing seduction through the children's songs for a long time. You know, it's like they're kids and they're talking about having a girlfriend and being in love and waiting on her. It was all sin from the jump. A kid should be focused on his future or her future, learning how to do things, learning how to be an adult, not talking about being in a relationship. So this is what the industry was pushing at the time. And I guess Diddy thought he had one. But y'all check this out.
Line or a big head. Mom and Dad are there for me to keep me grounded. His parents carefully watched over the material Jerome was asked to record. They refused to allow him to curse or sing about intimate topics. They didn't mind if the beats were seductive, but they wanted to make sure all of his music was age appropriate. In 1998, Jerome finally got his time to shine. His song entitled Crush on You was featured on Bad Boys EP entitled Nothing But the Hotness in '98. Not long after, he released the song Too Old For Me, which was the lead single off the Bad Boy Greatest Hits Volume 1 album. Music lovers went wild. The song was such a hit that Jerome was asked to film a music video for the track. The video featured Diddy behind the wheel of a Bentley as he gave Jerome some dating advice. His love interest was played by his Bad Boy label mate Keisha Spivey of Total. And NBA superstar Anthony Penny Hardaway made an appearance as Keisha's boyfriend. The song was so popular it was remixed a few times, including once with rapper Noriega, and Jerome was officially the hottest new star on the scene. He was invited to all the hottest parties, including an event thrown by Diddy himself. Jerome admitted to Cleve Scene that following the star-studded event, he went back home and was so bored after all the excitement wore off. Jerome said, "It makes you want to get more and more." He was also starting to get recognized in public. A girl ran up to him and asked him for his autograph at New Orleans airport. And another girl in Puerto Rico tracked down his phone number and called his house. Jerome said it was still awkward to have people approach him in shopping malls, but he was getting used to it. And of course, his parents were still right there to keep him in check. His mom said, "We just try to stay level-headed and grounded, because it could be gone tomorrow." Jerome appeared on the Belly soundtrack. He also recorded and released 2 more songs, No Disturb Sign featuring Heavy D and a song called Dear Yvette. It was time for Jerome to put out his own album. In an interview with Bad Boy Blog, Jerome said he recorded 13 new songs, but the music would never see the light of day. He was getting older and his voice was changing. Jerome told the blog there were times when he would try to hit certain notes, but nothing would come out. He added, "It was driving the whole label and me crazy because we didn't know what was going on at the time." The label thought it was just the typical growing pains of puberty, and after his voice changed, they could get things back on track. But once they realized his voice had already gone through the change, they were puzzled. They tried to blame it on allergies, but that wasn't the problem either. Jerome was eventually diagnosed with reflux disease, an ailment that causes acid reflux to irritate the lining of the esophagus. Things began to speed up with his career ahead of the anticipated March 2000 release of his album. He said he was booked for back-to-back photo shoots and studio sessions, but puberty and his new diagnosis was wreaking havoc on him emotionally and mentally. The pressure became too much, and at the age of 14, Jerome suffered a nervous breakdown. Diddy reportedly thought it was best to drop Jerome's album entirely, and that wasn't the only thing that got dropped. Jerome was released from his recording contract as well. Back home in Akron, Jerome was able to get the help he needed. With his life on the mend, he signed on to appear in a 2007 Christian play called Paul, A Musical Journey. Jerome told the Bad Boy Blog he had been playing the character John Mark for the past few years, and he and the cast performed in many famous theaters around Cleveland. As far as the industry goes, he said he wasn't in contact with anyone from Bad Boy.
Yeah, family. So y'all seen it, but that's not the full story. This brother actually can sing. He could blow. You know, as y'all see, he was in a Christian singing program because he probably knows that the industry is wicked. His parents did the best they could to watch over the material he put out and the people he was around. But when you in this industry, nobody could save you from the wicked things you might see and do. So here's a backstory of him. As y'all see, he had a mental breakdown. They didn't tell you everything and why he had a mental breakdown. They just made it seem like the pressures of the industry. Of course, the pressures of the industry, him not being able to make his shows and his, and get the album out on time because of his illnesses, to changing his voice. But there was some other things going on. I'm not from New York. I haven't been around Diddy, so I don't know the true stories of what went on in this instant with this artist.
To take a person to court who shit on an artist, like it's an artist, right, that was signed to Bad Boy. Her name was Tammy, right?
Yeah.
To come to the studio every day. Get in. She come to the studio every day, and she like her mother used to watch her son while she come to the studio, and she would be in there working on her album, working on music. She was signed to Bad Boy, but and I saw her every day come to this studio and figure out things she had to do with her child. And I noticed how her family was supporting her, and then I just seen him shit on her whole career.
No.
And you don't yo, for real. It's a lot of them. I know one kid, his name is Jerome, little Jerome, Childers. He's a gospel dude. And he had a real crazy voice. He was a kid, like 11 years old, 10 or something like that. And then they took one of his songs that he knew how to sing real good in church, and they changed it to a song about him kissing a girl for the first time.
I'm not too young for you. Really don't know me.
He didn't really feel it. He didn't really feel that. He too young to understand what it's like kissing a girl and y'all telling them to say it like this. And they drove that little kid crazy. And that little kid did the Martin Lawrence, took the clothes off and ran out into the street and all of this, which you know they say artists do. When they go through that one thing. Yeah, man, that's how artists go crazy. The first thing they do is take their clothes off and run out into the street.
I heard about the whole Martin thing, and the whole industry thing kind of made him go crazy.
He ain't the first one that did that. A lot of them do it. And then he went out to the street speaking in tongues. So you'd be like, not only is he out in the street naked, he's speaking in tongues.
What?
I mean, something else got a hold of this man. It's like you kind of like, it's almost like making you sing a song about kissing a girl. You never kissed a girl before. You'd be like, how can I really sing this song and really love it?
Right.
Artists, we can't do it just to be famous. Some people do it to be famous. Some people do it to be heard.
Yeah, family. So y'all heard the truth about them. What y'all heard was an edited cut before. That's how TV works. That was the truth. The brother was a gospel singer, and Diddy had him singing a song he sung to God in church. Flipped the words around to make it about singing it to a girl. They was telling him to sing is all seductive. He didn't know nothing about this as a kid, and they kept pushing it on him, and he went crazy. He didn't want the fame. He went crazy around the street. Probably just went crazy out of his mind. Like you said, Martin did it. Mariah Carey did it. So these stars, when they get pressed and they can't take it no more, they go out and do some outrageous stuff. But the Most High was saving him from that industry. As you see, it's a wicked industry where they force the kids to wear certain things, to say certain things like they're grown-ups, and they're just kids. And that's when it hit a level of full pedophilia, when you're trying to make a kid do adult things, and and this is how people have these fetishes out here. This is why child human trafficking is very high. This is why you seeing this stuff about the Epstein list and all of this stuff. I'm gonna finish it off with the poster boy for Hollywood movies when it comes to this type of behavior, Mr. Corey Feldman.
Dam of silence.
Corey Feldman once again opening up about the dark side of the spotlight. In a new YouTube video, the former child star vowing to expose a ring of Hollywood pedophiles who he claims have abused thousands of children.
I can name 6 names. One of them who's still very powerful today.
Feldman posting the video after launching an online campaign aimed at raising $10 million to fund his plan to reveal what he calls the truth.
I propose to do this by making a film that'll be the most honest and true depiction of child abuse ever portrayed, by telling my own story in a very real way.
We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
A 1990s teenage heartthrob, Feldman became best known for his roles in movies like The Goonies, The Lost Boys, and Stand By Me.
Keep me on TV. Sure, we'll be heroes.
But along with the fame, Feldman says he learned firsthand about Hollywood's big secret, one he's tried to tell for years without naming names.
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. And they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business. And children aren't supposed to handle that sort of stuff.
Humiliation. I know, I've been through it. But that's all over now.
Feldman has long claimed that as young actors, he and fellow child star the late Corey Haim were molested by older men in the entertainment industry. Allegations he also wrote about in his 2013 memoir, Choreography.
I've been living in fear and been living with this my entire life.
Yeah, family. So that's it, man. If y'all like this, man, if it hit, I say if it hit 2,000 views, I'd do another one. You know what I'm saying? We'll dive even deeper. But, you know what I'm saying? My price ain't even high. I ain't gonna say 100,000 views. I might do one for free, family. Because this needs to be exposed, what they're doing in these industries. If you trying to put your children in these industries, don't do it. If you a child and you want to go to these industries, talk to somebody and reconsider. There's other things out there you can do besides be on the TV screen. As you see with these adults, they're not being paid, and the children aren't being paid either. If they do, their mom and dad have the money, and they done suffer all kinds of manipulation in the game. This is why the movies and the cartoons have took a hit. This is why the Disney Channel and the Nickelodeon networks have took a hit, because of them playing with the Most High's children. God said, as I said in the beginning, you touch one of his, that he should wrap a millstone around your neck and throw you in the sea. Because you really out here tripping if you doing that. You don't deserve anything. I'm gonna say it as that. I want to say some other things, but I'm gonna just say you really don't deserve anything. If you out here doing this to these kids, if you out here witnessing this and you allowing this, man, what can I say? I'm Base Jerusalem. This is the Hebrew Life. Shalom, family. Shalom.